A Song for Silas by Lori Wick. Chapter 34. Neillsville, Wisconsin. I'm not in love with Silas Cameron. Amy said the words to herself, but they didn't stop the furious pounding that started in her heart the moment she spotted him. Amy stood quietly and watched as he disembarked and crossed the platform toward her. He was so handsome. And then he was standing before her, smiling down in his sweet, gentle way, his height and the width of his shoulders blocking the sun. "Hi." Suddenly shy, Amy's voice was hesitant. "Hi yourself." Silas's eyes twinkled, and Amy knew that everything would be fine. She was the first one to reach, and they hugged. It seemed to set the mood for the relationship they had both hoped to resume. The ride out to the ranch, or rather the farm, was filled with warm laughter and friendship. Silas was thrilled to be told that Grant was on his feet and strong, but also looking forward to Silas's arrival. Amy said he was not a moment too soon. Grant had been in the fields for over a week. Amy listened in quiet surprise to Silas's enthusiastic description of his new house. It sounded wonderful. She caught herself just before asking him if he was building a house because he'd found a girl this summer. In fact, the summer for Amy had not been an easy one. Silas had not been far from her thoughts throughout this absence, and Amy honestly didn't understand why. For days she had thought about the way he had kissed her goodbye, and how she had allowed him to. Most of the time she had told herself it was because she felt guilt over not returning his love, and then pushing the thought aside. But for Amy, something was missing. She had never known discontentment before, never longed for She had never known discontentment before, never longed for things she did not have. But something was definitely missing. As the summer aged, her frustration grew, and she didn't understand why. She prayed long and hard over it, but specific answers eluded her. Amy still believed her father needed her on the farm, and that he just didn't realize it. He had admitted how selfish it would be if he expected her to give up on her own life to take care of him, but Amy didn't look at it that way. She was positive that she was not building her life around her father. The fact was, he did need her. Amy found herself thinking this so often that she wondered just who she was trying to convince, herself or God. "Your Aunt April and Uncle Chad send their love." Silas's voice broke into her thoughts. "I talked with them soon after I got home and told them how you were doing. And then right before I left, they had me to dinner on Sunday. Your aunt sent you a present. It's in my bag." "She wrote and said she had an early birthday present for me." "If I recall, your birthday is in November, same day as my brother Paul's." "Yes, it is. Aunt April wrote about the gift. She said it was fragile and hoped to send it with you. Intending it as a wedding gift for me, she explained it had been in the family for years. She also said she believes I'll be married someday, and she wants me to have it." Amy's voice trailed off at the end, unable to believe she had actually admitted this, especially to Silas. She looked over to see Silas watching her, his expression unreadable. Suddenly Amy felt indignant. "I don't know why everyone thinks I have to be married. Many people live long, fulfilled lives and never take a spouse." Surprised at her outburst, Silas was speechless. Amy remained angry, and the rest of the ride home was made in silence. Silas stopped the wagon in front of the porch and jumped down to assist Amy, but she sat quietly on the seat. He stood looking up at her. Finally, without turning to him, her voice now subdued, she spoke. "Silas, don't you ever sin?" "Of course I sin." But Amy only turned and looked at him, clearly not believing his simple words. "Just because I don't often lose my temper doesn't mean I never sin. Sins of the heart, Amy, the ones no one sees, can be the most serious of all. The sin of pride has brought me to my knees more times than I care to admit." "I'm not perfect, Amy. Don't for a second think I am. I have my weaknesses." Something in Silas's voice on this last statement caused Amy to look at him in confusion, and Silas went on almost reluctantly. "Take Thomas Blaine, for instance. I'm not sure what I would do if I ever met the man. Shake his hand and thank him for stepping out of your life, or knock him to the ground for hurting you?" Amy's eyes widened in surprise at this violent talk coming from her Silas. Her Silas? What was she thinking? "Silas!" The shout came from Grant, who was moving toward them as fast as his still-healing leg would carry him. It effectively put an end to the conversation between the two young people. Whatever was about to be said would have to wait. Silas reached quickly and lifted Amy to the ground before moving forward to meet Grant. Amy breathed an unconscious sigh of relief. Once again, she was spared the ordeal of dealing with her true feelings.